Yes, absolutely. It's a very critical part of ethical hacking process and should be done in all organizations. So the process which I use is quite a popular one, and it's also taught at CEH, which starts off with asset discovery and prioritization. Then we go to vulnerability scans, then actually creating a risk assessment of what these vulnerabilities are and how risky and how effective this exploit can be if it is exploited by a bad actor. Then we move on to remediation, where we actually try to figure out if we can do something about this, do more research on the vulnerability itself, and see, finally, we move on to the verification part and actually try to exploit it ourselves, where just to show as a proof of concept and actually create a report out of it. And after we finally create a report, we go to monitoring. Monitoring is also a continued effort for continued security. It is a critical element because only if you can monitor these vulnerabilities and actually catalog them, you'll be able to solve them. So this is the process which I follow. It is, again, like I mentioned earlier, it's the same process which is used in multiple organizations and also taught at the CEH. Yes, so in the CEH course, the vulnerability assessment and vulnerability analysis part is taught quite in depth. It covers not just the latitude but also the depth of the topic. We start off with learning about vulnerability concepts and going much deeper into how these vulnerabilities are classified and what are the types of assessments which can be done for vulnerability assessment and further analyzing these exploit and vulnerabilities. Then we also discuss about the tools and the scanning process. So the tools and scanning process can change quite a bit considering the type of attack and the type of attack surface which might be exposed, which might the organization be exposed, and then we finally look at how to actually create reports. So creating reports and cataloging these vulnerabilities is an important part of a vulnerability assessment process because we need to catalog them and only then we'll be able to actually solve them in a longer period of time. And if you look at an enterprise system, enterprise grade network, which might have like hundreds of thousands of devices, it's really difficult to actually monitor these vulnerabilities over a long period of time. So it's important to catalog them and see they are solved, and only then we can move forward. Yes, so it's extremely critical for organizations to actually monitor and analyze the vulnerabilities on the network because doing so can help them against um cyber attacks and other security vulnerabilities. Identifying these identifying these vulnerabilities for organizations and taking steps is a critical part as a for an ethical hacker too, which reduces the likelihood of a malicious actor actually attacking us, right? So this can not only help us save sensitive information but also help us maintain the integrity of the data as well as the systems of the organization. Additionally, maintaining and cataloging vulnerabilities can help organizations be compliant of the regulations which are there in the country, which again helps them with financial and reputational damage. So it is extremely critical for organizations to actually do vulnerability analysis on a regular basis and on a continued manner. Definitely. So vulnerability assessment can be a lengthy process. So it definitely has to be a combination of automated as well as manual testing. But there are pros and cons of each, which we'll go in depth now. So, considering the automated testing schemes, it does quickly help. It does help you test the systems quickly and gives you a report of what are the vulnerabilities or possibilities of vulnerabilities on a system, but it's not that detailed. So this is the big problem with automated testing, which it might do the testing, but it's not detailed and does not give you unique characteristics of the systems being tested. And on the other hand, while manual assessments can be quite detailed and nuanced depending on what sort of systems you're testing, it might not be feasible for a enterprise grade network which might have hundreds and thousands of devices, right? So it is definitely um, two 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 game per two person game. Well, vulnerability assessment needs to be done first with automated systems to just see what are the vulnerabilities and uh, then move to further actually uh, showing proof of concept and a manual method. So this is the process which I follow, and where we start off with vulnerability assessment with automated tools first, And then when we look at these vulnerabilities, we go further and analyze these vulnerabilities and actually start cataloging them. Based on that, we can actually, help the automated tools better analyze these systems. And at the end of the day, it comes down to the organization's need. Every organization is different, and every organization is unique to its own. So it also is a very good analysis between risk assessment of what sort of risk are you ready to take with these automated systems. So it definitely has to be a combination of both, and it's unique to every organization. False positive is an inevitable problem in the vulnerability assessment game, because like I mentioned earlier, vulnerability assessment needs automated tools, and these automated tools might end up going wrong or missing their targets and actually analyzing these vulnerabilities in a wrong manner. So first of all, we though these are big problems in vulnerability assessment, the false positive problems, there are steps to actually reduce them or even mitigate them in some cases. So first off, we can start off by using a reputable and up-to-date vulnerability assessment tool. This itself can help mitigate these problems which might be with the services. So if the service is out of date, if the service is like already patched, these false positives can be easily mitigated. And secondly, we can actually see what vulnerability reports are being created from these tools, and you take these vulnerability reports and actually analyze them in depth. And based on that, you can create your own signatures, which you can ingest in your vulnerability assessment tools. So these are the two major factors or two major ways you can mitigate or reduce the number of false positive. And like I mentioned earlier, this is something which you cannot get rid of. Eventually, there will be false positives, and you can only aim to reduce them. Tools are an essential part of vulnerability assessment. We start off with manual tools or automated tools, actually, which include Nessus, the enterprise grade enterprise system. Then we can also look at Qualys and NITCO. So NICTO, sorry. These are the three systems which are used for automated testing. But then with manual vulnerability assessments, there are plethora of tools depending on the systems which you're trying to test, which range from network penetration testing, network vulnerability assessment, web vulnerability assessment, and so on. So there are tools for each of these subdomains, but if you're looking at automated tools, the most popular ones are Nessus and Qualys.